All the woodwork's primed. Bit of a problem this really, because it's hardboard. It isn't part of the original house, where you can tell that by the fact it juts out over there. And my son says, "Can't you put something under there?" So I think he's a bit OCD. I agree. It would have been better if it had lined up like that. But it is what it is, isn't it? And the cupboard is so damn useful. In fact, everybody who's come in said, "Well, I'm going to do that." Yeah, it does kind of make use of the space. It doesn't get in your way. And that slant is the same there as it is on that one there. So it clears your head, doesn't get in the way at all. Anyway, point is, primed all the wood, top and bottom, and added a piece of trim on the outside here. Screwed that on. Screws instead of nails like my dad used. And that's all primed. So the width of that, when it's painted, will kind of match that. So at least visually it'll look alright. Bit of filling at the top, which I'll sand off in the morning. All the paper is now stripped off. It's all ready for papering. But because this is such a height, and again, thanks to Phil for lending me the ladders. Yes, you were right, they are much sturdier. I felt perfectly safe on that. And Theo's scaffold board. Thanks, Theo. So, thanks to those two guys, I didn't die. I didn't go down there. Not a good place to go. Anyway, that's all stripped off now. And I should be able to paper that. But I figure because, excuse the glare of that light, because this is the worst bit to do because you've got this big drop. It's not a nice place to be working. When I paper this, you see, if you're going to do line paper, normally you go across like that. The idea being that if you come to paper it, it sort of cancels it out. But I'm not going to be papering it. So I shall do these vertically because it's going to be easy to do as I go down the stairs, I think. And also get 2 strips of paper on here, which will bring it past this light fitting. And then I'll be working, well, I won't be working at height then. This wall's easy enough to do. That's just top of the stairs, no real bother there. So that's where we are. I'm just letting things dry out, let the primer dry out. Got a bit more to do in the morning. Another coat of primer, and then Saturday I'll start putting the paper up. That'll be good, won't it? And I may even get some of the paint so we can have a look and see what the colour's going to look like. That'll be cool, wouldn't it? So that's it till the morning. Couple of things to talk about, scrapers and well, plastering trowel. Unless you're spending a fortune on these things, and I don't know, buying stainless steel ones, and unless you're going to do it for full-time living, I suggest you don't. But you do need to look after them. I'll tell you for why. Especially if you're working with plaster and you leave any remnants of it down here, eventually that blade will rust out. Trust me, it does. I've gone through a couple of them like that. So what I suggest is, when you finish with them, always give them a really good clean and make sure they're dry. And ideally, just give them a very fine mist of WD-40, something like that, just to stop them rusting. Same with that. In actual fact, I use a very fine sandpaper every now and again, just to keep them nice and shiny, especially this one. You're working with filler, you want to make sure it's smooth. Just thought I'd mention that. And the other thing is this, and it featured actually in one of my previous videos. This is so useful. It's amazing how much I use it. And if you've got anything that you've bought this, I don't know, runs on 3 volt or 5 volt or 12 volt or 30 volt, this thing will power. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant for testing. That's what they're called, bench power supplies. Very useful. Not massively expensive. You can get one for about 30 quid these days. Boy, does it take the head out of things. And you think, oh, does that still work? And you haven't got a power supply. Just plug it into that and you soon find out. Worth every penny. There's no doubt about it. This is a stunning front door. Even if, unfortunately, outside I shall have to move to UPVC, which I'm not keen on. But anyway, that's something I'll have to look at in the future. And I'm not looking for an old-fashioned house. I don't want that. But what I did want to try and do is when you come through this front door, it's quite a stunning door. but then it's sort of, the whole thing dips down visually. You lose it. So I'm going to try and bring that through into the hallway. So I've got a couple of those. The 1930s, second hand, they go for about 90 quid. All chrome fittings. Not the colour I want, I have to say. I really want a sort of reddy pink colour. But yeah, now the flicker's gone. Yeah, I've had one each side. Got the other one to chase in tomorrow. Need to do that as I'm starting to come down the stairs now with the paper. But yeah, looking good. So I have got a matching pair of those, but I don't want that colour. Definitely want a warmer colour. So I have to get a couple of pink LED bulbs, I think. Well, I might try a red or a pink, see which works, but definitely not that yellow colour. 10 to 11 at night, and by the sounds of it, my son is doing Battle Online. That's what it sounds like. Got the first piece up. Now this paper is 21.5 inch. We're working in old Imperial. Anyway, that's what it's, well, that's what I measured it as. 21 inches. 21 inches that paper is. So what I did is, this is fairly square here actually. So what I did, to get a straight line, I measured 20.5, because we're going to allow for a ½ inch overlap down there. Put a mark there. Go the other side of the light and did the same there. And used my spirit level, drew between the two. Could have used the plumb line, but not really over there. I've put all the steps away for now. I didn't want to be messing with plumb lines, so I just drew a line across. And of course that then gives me my first straight edge. This end, right, when you come to do the ends, I had about an inch overlap this end. So what you do is push it into the corners with your papering brush. I actually use a dustpan brush because I don't know, it was easier to work with because it's got a hook that fits onto the loops on my jeans. Very convenient, so I don't drop it. It's nothing worse than being up on a ladder and then dropping your papering brush. Anyway, so that was about an inch over. Just draw a pencil line into the corner and then cut 5mm past that, because if you cut on the pencil line, you'll cut it too short, you always will. So 5mm, ½ centimetre, see, we're working in metric then. And then trim along that line. Same all the way along here. That end, because I've got that wood trim there, I cut that dead actually. So it's a nice sharp line there. So anyway, we've got a start, we've got our first line. It's going to be more of a challenge when we get it. Well, not so much there, but it will be when we get there. I think I'm going to have to kind of do that patchwork. And if there's any gaps, I'll use filler just to get the whole thing smooth. As long as we've got a smooth, flat surface that I can paint on. This one is going to have to be done last. You know, like if you decide you're going to paint a floor in a room, what you don't want to do is start painting from the door, because you'll end up in the corner and then you can't get out. And it's a bit like that with papering, because I've got to paper down this wall here. I need that to leave my ladder on. And so that's going to be the very last bit I paper. And also when I come to paint, I shall have to put a board, something behind the ladder, protect it so it doesn't mark the paper when I'm papering down here, painting around down there, pretty straight down here. There was some discussion over the last couple of days whether I should stick to this colour or go for this colour. But I did stand in the hallway with it, and actually both colours work. Actually this colour works as well. But I've gone back to the red, and the reason I've gone back to the red is because it's that little bit brighter. I think if I'd gone for that sort of sagey green, it would have brought the walls in of the hallway too much. You see what I mean? It's not the widest hall in the world. So yeah, we're going with the red. And it's not a bright red, it's not pillar box red, and it is only a background after all. And I think it'll be broken up a little bit by all this white, but we'll see. Anyway, main thing is to crack on, which I shall do in the morning. I shall get some more up. Hopefully got all this sealing paper tomorrow. Well, it seems to be going well. Our first stripping. Got plank sitting on these steps. These steps are well sturdy. well, I'm a big fella and they take my weight, and of course it's spread out over that, so we should be alright. Already got a couple of bits in there. The reason I've got a couple of bits in there is I miscalculated a bit, cut it too short and thought, quick, use it in there. Don't want to waste it. That happens sometimes. Yeah, so it's about 95 inches there, plus a foot I calculated because it drops on the next one. So we will see. Let's get the next one up. 2. Going well so far. This is going to be a bugger. Well, actually, the next 2 are, because that one is a really long drop for starters. The next one's even longer, but it won't be a full sheet, so I've got to like fold it around on the edge and then tuck it under. Oh, what a pain. Oh well, crack on, let's get them done. Yes, I think that's enough for today. Managed to get under that now, so I've got much shorter drops now after that. That was the longest one. Yeah, I did try this morning to put a piece of paper up here, but to be honest, this light pendant, just to make the whole job a lot easier, it'd be better. Shade that a minute. If I disconnected that pendant completely, isolate the lighting upstairs, pull the cable up through, paper it, and then pull the cable back down through, it'd be a tidier job. Trying to cut around there, it's just awkward when you're working at height. So I abandoned that and pulled it off, and I didn't waste the paper though, because I pasted it under there. So that's all right. I think that'll do for today. It's my stomach's rumbling, you know what I mean. But anyway, this platform seemed to work really well. I mean, I'll take you up just to give you an idea.
What are you doing? Think of your kid.
That's, you know, I'm bouncing on it. So that's all right, isn't it? Gives you an idea what it's like up here. Yeah. Well, in the morning we'll crack on and we'll do a bit more. As I say, I can't do this bit because it's almost going to be the last bit of paper, to be honest. Anyway, that's it. Time for a cup of tea.
Cookery Corner.
And what's in Cookery Corner today? Well, you won't be surprised to know there's mince in this. There's mince, there's chopped onions, there's chopped vegetables. What else is in it? Yeah, onions. Oh yeah, there's some pasta in it. I'm just waiting for that to swell up, and then I'm going to add some of this. Green pesto. We love green pesto. They're just potatoes that have been sliced up about, I don't know, centimetre deep, something like that. Notice that they're not peeled. I'm going to make chips out of these. Anthony and I have discovered that, well, apart from the fact that they actually do taste better with their skins on, they're better for you. And so we don't bother peeling them anymore. We just wash them, slice them up. I should probably cut them in half again, you know, something like that. And I bought a deep fat fryer. I don't do a lot of deep fried stuff, but can't beat chips, can you? Also, they're not books, that's packets of yeast, by the way, because when I get around to it, I do make my own bread, yes, but I'm not on the moment, I'm buying shop bread. But for those that don't cook, and I can cook quite fancy stuff, there's a couple of books that I recommend. One I can't find at the moment, it's somewhere in my boxes, and I shall eventually unpack it, and it's called The Jimmy Young Cookbook. Yes, what's the recipe today, Jim, as he used to say. Brilliant book if you can get it. I'll tell you for why. They're all recipes sent in by listeners, and most of them are 4 ingredients or even less, and they just taste fab. And particularly if you live on your own and can't be bothered, or you just want to rustle up something really quick, really good book. I highly recommend it. Recipe books, I do have lots of them actually, but most of them are overly complicated. I think when you've got a list of ingredients of about 25 and you think, oh, do I really have to? Yeah. And the other one is this one. It's getting on now. Well, you can tell because the pages are folded, but it's called Cooking in a Bedsitter by Katherine Whitehorn. I first got this book when I left home in about 1977, I don't know, the age of 17, something like that. But it was a great start because in a bedsitter you've only got 2 rings, which is what we've got here presently, so it's quite handy. Really, really good book, recommend that. So those 2 good cookbooks to start out with. Other than that, you'll be down the library in the kids section asking mummy if you can use the oven first. That's a good book. Almost everything you could cook with mince, because we do eat a lot of mince. And what was this other one I came across recently? I'll wait for this. It was something amongst my dad's books, and I thought, yes, that'll be good. It's a shilling, look. Enjoy potatoes in 81 ways. I'm not saying we live on them, but you do run out of ideas with spuds, and then you think, maybe I'll do rice instead. You know what I mean? But anyway, I don't know who wrote this book, actually. I have no idea. But that's it. It cost a shilling, so it obviously goes back a bit. So that's it from Cookery Corner today.
Cookery Corner.
That is a junction box, and actually it's a very tiny junction box. Look at it against my hand. Junction boxes, for electrical work, you use them really when you're joining cables. There's a few ways you can do a lighting circuit, but which is what this is for. This 20 amp, you can get bigger ones, 30 amp ones, and if you've got to join your cables, traditionally you use one of these. But there are issues with junction boxes. One, they are not maintenance free. The screws can work free, and you've got to go around and tighten them up periodically. I don't know over what period. The other one is the terminals themselves, although this is rated at 20 amp, so more than adequate for a lighting circuit, which is about 6 amp. The screws in it are very tiny, and it's difficult to get more than 2 cables in each terminal. And on a lighting circuit, you're pulling lives together, you're pulling neutrals together. So in some cases you've got 3 wires, and these things just won't take them. The other issue with them is, apart from the maintenance issue, is what you don't want is junction boxes hidden in places that you can't get at. It's a nightmare. And when I wired this house, this is why I did it somewhat different from the way an electrician would have done it. On the landing, I have one board that I can lift, and I can access all the lighting for the downstairs if I need to get to it. It's all under one hatch, easy to get at. But I decided I'm not going to use these, even though I forked out the money. They're not massively expensive. I don't know, £1.20 or something for one of those. Moving over to these Waco boxes. These are really, really good. And it's the most common way of connecting cables now. And you've got these little push-in connectors, no screws needed. Just push them in, that's it. Cable's grabbed. Put all your cables in there with your terminals on. It's got strain relief one end, or both ends, depends which way you want to come in. I suppose you can come in both ways with the Waco box, that's the good thing about them. Then you shut the lid, cable tie that end, cable tie that end, and they are maintenance free. That's it, the job's done for life. So that's why I've moved from junction boxes to Waco boxes. So although they work out about twice the price, who cares? Less hassle. Waco boxes. Right, it's now the following day, and a bit darker in here. It doesn't look it on the camera, but it is, because I've got no pendant light up there. So I'm glad of these panes of glass that come through, give me enough light. And I'll only really have that for the morning. So well, it's about 10 o'clock now, so just about right. That's as bright as it's going to get, and then about 2 o'clock it'll start to peter off again. So I've got about 4 hours to do it. Because this is the biggest drop, and it's the one where I have to put the steps out and the scaffold and the little steps so I can walk across there. I really want to get that done, because then I haven't got to work at height other than painting, and that's not quite so bad. Still use the steps, but it'd be pretty quick once I've done it. Had to push the pendant light through, which is there. You see that hole? Push that up, because I did try and paper this, but it's just too awkward to cut round a pendant on a ceiling. I'm sure painters and decorators do it all the time, but no, I'll just paper it and then reinstate the pendant afterwards. So I have got some loft work today. I've got to go back up in there and reconnect that because I don't really want to run with that a light on this landing too long. Yeah, so if I can get that strip in, and ideally the next strip in, that would be good, because I've only got a very thin run then across here. And the thing is, what I don't want to be doing is running from here all the way across and then having to fettle a little bit around there. Do you know what I mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it so the paper comes to about there. I've only got to cut around that corner. And the thinking it, and you think, oh, that's going to be patchy. Well, actually, no, it won't. Once you've got your paper up and you'll have bare plaster there, you cut a piece for that, paste that in. When it's all dry, because you aim for as small a gap as you can between the two bits of paper, you just use some fine surface filler, just lightly sand it off, and you will not see it. I know that because I did it in the front bedroom. It works brilliantly. So that's how we're going to do that. So that's my job for the morning. Paste table's out. I've measured the paper. It needs to be 80 inches long. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces of paper 8 inches long. I shall paste one, give it about 5 minutes. When it's almost ready to put up, paste the second one. And then I'm all right then for the next 15 minutes. I can put 2 bits of paper up. Because the important thing with paper, especially lining paper, is when you paste it, don't just put it on the wall. It's not ready. You've got to leave it a good 5 minutes for the paste to soak into the paper first. Otherwise you get expansion problems and adherence problems. So, that, you know, they're all important. See where I filled in the old pendant light. I think I mentioned a while back, the reason I moved it is because this cupboard wasn't here when the house was built. And when that pendant light, it was only a bulb on a thing, cast a great shadow down the stairs because of this. So I moved it across a foot and just slightly that way, so it's more over the banisters. And it lights the stairs up perfectly now, so that was a good guess. Anyway, so that's it now. I'm gonna cut paper. That's what I'm gonna do. Well, there we go. 3 strips in. Just got 1 strip to run down this side now. That's all the sealing done. I'm sorry I can't show you a heroic figure of a man wobbling on a ladder with wallpaper wrapped around his head, but I'm sure you can imagine it. I've just got to trim that off now so I get a reasonably defined line across there. I'll do that with a Stanley knife. Then when I cut this new piece in, it'll all blend in nice. So that's it. All I've got to do really today is bring down the cables for the pendant light, so they're in place. I've got a quick trip to Toolstation, but I think that's all I'll be doing today, because in the morning I have to go to the dentist. And if you go back through my earlier videos, it'll be sometime around May, I'm sure. I was booked in to have 2 teeth out, and a lot of people have found this with dentists. Of course, they all shut down, you know, fear and everything else, and being told they couldn't operate. So that was in May. It's now October. So you imagine that many months with 2 teeth that you're meant to have out. I haven't got any pain with them, luckily, because the nerves are removed. But that's not the point. They're becoming less and less teeth, and I really want them removed. I wouldn't say I'll skip to the dentist, but I'll be blooming glad to get there. Yeah, so I'll be doing that tomorrow. So that means really, I don't know, perhaps for the rest of this week I'll have to be careful what I do. Can't do too much anaesthetic stuff because it just makes the blood pump around your system, and that just sets your mouth off bleeding again. Been there and done that. But anyway, that's what I'm doing tomorrow. So I've got one final thing to do. I've got to do a quick trip to Toolstation, and then the last thing I'll do is I'll go up in the loft and drop down the pendant and fitting. And then when I'm feeling a little better, well, I might even put some bonding plaster into that today. We'll see. But then that's it then, really. That's all the sealing done. And I can paint that next week when I'm feeling 100%. So there we go. Hey, I've got some lights up, flickering a bit because, well, that's an LED and it's going out. The other's a halogen. It's all I could find in the house. Anyway, the OCD amongst you will be saying, but that's not perpendicular to the wall, Ralph. No, it's not. But look, that's correct. And if it irritates me, I can always unscrew it and turn it. But for now, it does fine. And hot spots on the wall can be good for the posters, isn't it? Yep, so that's it for today. And I will see you probably Thursday morning, because like I say, tomorrow, teeth out. I was tempted with the pliers, but I thought perhaps not. Go to the dentist. Right, see you in the morning. Now I came here last week, and actually I'm at the dentist. Last week I had a tooth out, and today I'm having a tooth out. But as usual, it's raining, and they got a regime now at dentists. You can't just wander in and book appointments and go in and out as you like. It's all heavily regimented. So if your appointment is 8 o'clock and you arrive at 10:02, you're going to be standing out in the rain. So that's how it is. And I think actually when I finish today, because that'll be the second one they've done, I should just go back to bed for a couple of hours. I think that's the best bet. This is what happens, you see, with COVID, and all the dental appointments get messed up. I've had to wait 6 months for this, which is somewhat ridiculous. Anyway, I shall see you back at Ralph's house. Just having another look at this whole light, which I love, I have to say, all that chrome and stuff. But what I don't like is the colour of it. Because I've picked this Chelsea red for the walls, and although this will give a white light out of the top, which is what you want, I really want to aim for a sort of pink. And what I've found, courtesy of my second dad, is this stuff. Can you see that? I don't know where you would get this, but it's for painting on glass. And although they don't do a pink, they do a red, which I tried on the inside of this plastic, held it up to the light, and it seemed about the right shade. So I thought, well, here goes nothing, because it dries very, very quickly. It is water-based, but once it's dry, the water won't touch it, so you have to work quite quickly. But we had good success. I was quite amazed how that glass paint went on these light fittings. I was really pleased with it. But like I say, when you put it on, you've got to almost take it off straight away. You don't want that very thin film of it, but when you go up against the light, you get that lovely pink glow. Fabulous, isn't it? There we go. It looks somewhat orange on camera, but it's sort of like yeah, it does. It looks orange, but it's not. I can tell you to the eye, it's pink. That's it. We're papered. All upstairs is papered now. Around the Waco bits. All this wall, it's all done, and I'm stopping for tonight, but yeah, in the morning I shall start papering down there. I've already prepped that wall, so I shall clean up downstairs, paper that last bit, and then we can come up and paint the ceiling. There we go. I'm getting on with the red now. I must admit, I'm kind of getting sick of seeing red, but that's only from the painting point of view. I like the colour very much. Right, so I think perhaps another day, just to tidy things up. A few extra coats needed. I think this wall needs another coat on it. This one certainly does. You can see the light patches in it. I've got to go, but yeah, looking good.
Cookery Corner.
And what's in Cookery Corner today? And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Ralph, you're cooking mince again. Actually, I am. Chopped onions, mince, tomato puree, a tin of chopped tomatoes, some chili powder, some turmeric, and a little white pepper. Anything else that I can think of that went in there? No, that was it. And in there, which looks like curry, we've got brown rice, red kidney beans, can't really have it without those, and some chopped vegetables. And then when all the rice has absorbed all the water, that will go in there. That's Cookery Corner today.
Cookery Corner.
Now I've been able to paper all the way down and get it all painted. And as usual, my camera's compensating, but there you go. Looks a lot better, doesn't it? Yeah. Not so good an ordinary plaster. Yeah, I've got this side to do, but this is what I'd call hallway work. You know, I've got a bit to do down here. But the main thing is to get all these stairs done, so I'm down on this level. But yeah, that's worked out well. I'll tell you what else has worked out well. Let's go up. I've changed the bulbs in there. I noticed actually one's casting. It's casting a shadow of the last one. I might have to move that lamp around. Yeah, so we're all the way up to the top. Turn around. I've got the shelf up. I had to strengthen this because this is all hardboard and there's not much behind it. So I had to put battens in at the back so I've got something to screw to. But that worked okay. So yeah, I've got a little shelf. I'm not saying all these things are going to stay here, but you know, it was a good start, wasn't it? And look, all the adult Ladybird books. Have a look at the titles. The best one, my sister and I agree on this, is The People Next Door. If you see that one, grab it. Yeah, there, I'll give you an idea of the time. And then when we come down to the next level, I've had this languishing at my mum and dad's for quite a while. It's 3 inches deep, and it's a little scene of a boathouse. Well, yacht. Somebody that's obviously into boating. Look, got all the different things. Bits of rope and stuff. And what I was thinking of doing was putting a, I don't know, something like an LED lantern in it, something like that, just to light it up, make it look a bit more interesting. Have to look amongst the doll's house stuff and see what I can come up with there. But yeah, I think that'd be worth doing. Yeah, so that's where we are today. That's enough, I think, from Ralph's house. The papering was bad enough. But we are on the ground floor at last, and we're just about ready to put the stair lift back in. I'm not sure when we'll do that. It's Monday today, probably next weekend. We'll refit that, which will be good because we've got this kind of situation, which isn't good. I can't get into the front room to get to tools and stuff. It sits in the kitchen, so I can't clean the kitchen floor. You know what these things are like, because we took it out whole, unfortunately. So yeah, that's it from Ralph's house. Thanks for watching. Yeah, give us a thumbs up below. Honestly, it takes 2 seconds to do that, or a thumbs down if you think it's really crappy. That's fine also, don't mind. And you know, do subscribe, otherwise you won't get updated. Also, I've put a link at the bottom of this video to my new channel called The Factory, and if you want to know what that's all about, well, you'll have to go and look, won't you? That's it. Thanks, and thanks for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.